We begin another Sefer, and we begin Shem MiShmuel. I looked for my Shem MiShmuel today, and I realized I still had my Bereshis in my office, so I had to make other means. Baruch Hashem, we have a friend of mine said to me one time, many authors, Lahavdil, when they write a second book, it's not so geschmack. You know, they write the first book, the second one, okay. But the Rabbeinu Shalom wrote Bereshis, unbelievable. Now we get the Shemos, even amazing, and so to speak, the Shem MiShmuel also. Wow. There's Givaldig everywhere. So let's see. We have towards the end of the parsha that there were all types of osos, right? Moshe was questioning, was they going to believe me, etc. And Kadosh Baruch Hu gave him osos. So in Pashtus, the osos, the signs, the sticking his hand in, the nachash, all these things, those were ways to get the Jewish people to believe. Yeah. But we find the Medrash, which doesn't fit into that simple version of things. Lama Salo Kadosh Baruch Hu Gimel osos. Why three? Can I get Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? So you have to take Midrashim seriously. What do you mean? He did three osos because he needed three to build up the Imun. Yeah. So the Medrash said, no, you wouldn't need three to build up the Imun. So it must be there's something deeper going on. Okay, that's the.
Three is a chazak. You see, three
could be three. Yeah, again, I'm not saying
the Avos is a chazak. Three.
No, but yeah, but why the Avos? What does that have to do with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? It's three. You need it. If I have to journey 3 days to get somewhere, why'd I go? I had to journey 3 days. I went 3 days. No, nothing Kabbalistic about it, right? Yeah. But here, if the Medrash is picking up and it's saying it's Keneged Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that means it was necessary there was a Keneged Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Bi'ar Dvarim, Kimoshe Rabbeinu, that's the whole point, because he's taking us to a deeper level and explaining the Medrash. So Bi'ar Dvarim, the explanation is, Kimoshe Rabbeinu Amar Olav Shalom, Amar Vehein Lo Yaminu Li. They're not going to believe me. The Mashma, Davar Baruch Lo Yishmu. Right? Yeah. Right? I like that. As I always say, as I've said recently, that the Shem MiShmuel wasn't just an unbelievable Chasidus, an unbelievable Makubal, an unbelievable Talmud Chacham. He was an unbelievable Mefarish. He was a commentator. It's always important to realize that. He's teaching us how to look at Psukim and bringing out lights of Psukim in a way that we missed even on a Pshat level. Wow. Not just on a Kabbalistic level or on a deeper level, on a Chassidish level. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hein la yaminu li. They will not listen. He doesn't say, a person gets a job. Maybe they're not going to, right? Person goes to a job interview. Yeah, it's usually sure. You're not sure. I'm definitely not going to get this job. Well, if you're definitely not going to get this job, why are you wearing your best suit and your cologne? Like, don't go. Don't waste your time. Yeah. Right? Usually, most situations where we have a doubt is a doubt.
The Shema, yeah.
The Shema. But Moshe says, V'heim lo yaminu li. So what's the haim? So what's the definiteness of Moshe Rabbeinu? Gibemis mitzad teva, right? In the natural order of things, you have this little shepherd fellow, right? He's a little older. I'll tell you, if I've unfortunately had to deal sometimes with people hallucinating, and it's not pleasant. Yeah. Wow. So someone comes into the office and says, "Why should I accept you to Shapell's?" I'll tell you why, because I was out with my sheep in the Midbar Yehuda, not so far from here, and Kadosh Baruch Hu came to me in a dream, and he said that I am the Mashiach. And I said, oh, that's very, very nice. I think you need a higher level yeshiva, maybe Panovich, maybe Gush, right? Maybe Hebron, maybe Mir, maybe Wayu, right? But Shapell's is too simple for you, right? Yeah, no. So here he is, a shepherd that wasn't known. He wasn't part of the Jewish people. He was from there. And he says, guess what, fellas? Yes, what? I am the Goel. And Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm here to redeem you. Okay, so that's the situation. So that's why Moshe Rabbeinu says they're not going to listen to me, because they shouldn't listen to me. Because it's not like Moshe Rabbeinu came and said, you know what, eventually things are going to get better. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu is coming and saying, this is it. We're here. It's been 210 years, 80 years, hard years, 78 years, however. It's happening now. The Gula is happening. No, it's not. They're not going to listen to that. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, do the osos, not just break through the physical things. No. You have to touch Klal Yisrael's deeper emunah. And we have an emunah which is built on people who are l'malam min hateva, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Tziva l'Hashem Yisparach l'asod ha'otos ha'elish and keneged ha'avos lor behem mailas avotam shem l'malam min hateva u'meili yaminu u'meili me'atzmam yiyun nimshachim achar emes. Wow, yeah. U'kenin shamar, as it says, avagav d'inu lo chazu baz lo chazu, right? The Gemara in Megillah says, sometimes you don't know, but your mazel thinks, means we're having a conversation here. But really our higher parts are also part of the conversation. Yeah, and it's happening on a different level. Ba'az me'atzmi aminu. Below rak mi pasa osus. Right? It's not because of the osus. It's not because of... It's such a depth to the story. Again, what happened? What did Chazal see here? Chazal said, wait, what's going on? Moshe's convincing them? No, the osus wouldn't work. Ki kol osus adayin edom kol kachbar. It's not for Moshe Kasam Rambam, right? The Rambam says anybody, famous Rambam. Anytime that something's built on osus, you always wonder, you hear near-death experiences. That's really true. Maybe it's mixed up. Someone just told me a story that happened about his great aunt. I'll say it. And he said, it's my great aunt. The person told me. He said his great aunt saw a ambulance. He started saying Tehillim, and a woman called her up and said something like, who's the woman who said Tehillim for me? Wow. And he found her. They said, I went up to Shemayim. I was leaving the world, and your Tehillim brought me down. He told me, his great aunt, I don't want to say his name, maybe it's private, but he said, my great aunt never lies, and she told me this story. So, okay, but so that's like an ace, right? But okay, maybe there's something, maybe this, maybe that. So there's always the commercial. Raksha etzem hanefesh teida v'taskil, right? So that's the point. That the reason. So it's beautiful. What a beautiful shot. So let's just say out one last time. We read the parsha, friends, and it sounds like Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to believe, do the osus, etc., and then they'll believe, and it's going to work with Derech HaTeva. Chazal put in Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. What's that about, right? So Shem MiShmuel explains the Medrash that it's because on the Derech HaTeva they shouldn't believe, and the osus aren't going to fully help them. And what is going to help them? Drawing to the Avos, going to the Avos connect us to something deeper. And then when we connect to the Avos that are Malam and Ateva, then we start to believe. It's very, very interesting. So the point I think we take out from this is that I am a firm believer, and I do it myself, to do things to get our emunah stronger. I try to remember stories that bring to emunah, things like that, hearing about a near-death experience and things like that. What's emunah? Anytime someone who, I like science and I like this scientific way of thinking, and I have a rationalistic side. So in the rationalistic world, nothing makes sense besides what you can put on a scale, like the Yavanim, right? If we can't see it, we don't believe it, right? That is a level of truth. That's a chitzoni truth. And it's important to use that in your emunah, right? I.e., look at the hashgacha. Klal Yisrael exists after all these years. Look at this experience. Chaim Kanievsky said this. No way you would have known it. Anytime you show something which can't be weighed on a scale, is a proof that the world is more than just a rationalistic thing. Because you can't explain it, right? You can't explain this, you can't explain it. There are many, many things that you can't be explained, but they are happening. That's a sign already that there's ruchnius in the Bria, right?
Like you put a seed in the ground. I couldn't explain some kind of...
Well, that they can't explain, but there are a lot of things that they can't explain. Near-death experiences, they can't explain that, right? You can't explain without explaining there's a ruchnius that exists.
Beyond us.
So here's where I was going. So I believe that one should look for things like that to strengthen themselves. But what we're learning here is that ultimately our emunah has to come connected to the fact something inside of ourselves and inside of our Masorah and connecting us to something Lamalam and Ateva. Meaning, I think the proper way, I don't know exactly the formula to do that, right? I understand how to strengthen your emunah in a plus-minus way, right? But even as you strengthen your emunah in a plus-minus way, the fact you feel emunah also is good, and it's natural because that's coming from the deeper part of the yid. Yid and belief. We're maminim b'nei. When we say the Jewish people are maminim b'nei maminim, they don't mean that we have really good proofs, right? You don't mean that it's emunah. Exactly, it's emunah. Now, why does emunah get a bad name? Because the Yashkaniks also use emunah, and the Muhammads use emunah, and the Zoroasters use emunah, and so they all say emunah. Okay, good. So, but we can't let them steal from us emunah because they're believing in the wrong thing. Doesn't mean Okay, good. Now that was a very nice small piece. Now we have a really a blockbuster piece here, which is incredible, which deals with the type of question that everybody's run into this question without knowing they're running into this question. Lavin, this is a separate piece. And the sheet came out on the wrong line. Lavin Mashinira b'midrashim chilukim binyan haltzal shibud. When did the shibud start? Right? The Parshas Vayichi, Matzino Mishameis Yaakov in Eschil Shibud, Shibud Mitzrayim Yisrael. Oh, when the time that Yaakov died, that's when the Shibud started. Good. number one. Parsha Shemos Amru calls much Yosef Kaim Loyal Lem Masli Shom Mitzrayim. No, it was all the time Yosef was around. Good. Beis Yosef Nasalem Masli. Perish Rashi Parsha Vayera calls much Echem and Shvatim Kaim Loyal Shibud. Ubi Shemos Rabbi Shekol much Echem Yardim Mitzrayim Kaim Lo Shabdi Mitzrayim Lisro. So like, what is up? There are four different shitas
about. Some people say the Yitzchak when he
right, but no one says the Shibud started the 400 years. I don't think that. I don't think they did the Shibud, right?
Than the 400.
I believe, but I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is so said that, but it's enough to deal with these four, right?
Yeah.
Right. When Yitzchak is right. Did the Shibud start when Yaakov or Yosef? Yaakov's death, Yosef's death, Shvatim's death, or anybody who's in you read this Mitzrayim. Now, who were those? That would include Sarach Bas Asher, right? All the
70 nefashos.
Right, all the 70 nefashos the Menashe Ephraim, etc. That would include all more. Wow. So now I would have just thrown up my hands. The fact that he's even attempting to figure this out is enormous. Hare yesh kan dalam midrash mechalukim. V'nira dinei yedua shekol dvar v'inyanim ha'gzeres she'ordim min ha'olam ha'elyon b'rishonaim b'ruchnias v'achakach mishtalsha v'yordim b'gashmis. Right? Everything starts in a ruchani way, like the Ramchal brings, called b'gzeres elyon, right? Ein of no kivets bo'lam elamata elin kim goes around melamala. A person is hurt. A person just you hurt your foot. You should feel good. It means there's a gzer min hashamayim and it helped you, right? Ad Rabba, we should get all our yisurim and small things. Like Schoonmaker brings down that. It could be, God forbid, a person will get a big rock at him. Yeah. But you'd rather have a lot of little pebbles thrown at you at a time. Right? So sometimes there's a midas adin on a person, and it's a big rock, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu cracks the rock. He says, midas adin has to be answered, right? Yeah, but you know what? You were supposed to get hit by this much weight of rock. I'm not going to do it one time. A rock here, a rock here, a rock here. So people get upset. How could I stub my toe? Very good, very good. Don't be so upset about stubbing your toe. You're fortunate that you stub your toe. That's Xer. So called Xer Zelian. So, but now the way it starts is Xer above, and then it goes through different worlds and triples down until it gets into our world, into the Olam HaGashmi, until it takes on its form. You do what you call. Let's read again the important line that we know. We call it Dvarim Inyanim Xeris Shodim in Olam Helium. B'rishonaim Baruchnias v'achakach mishtalshav yodim b'gashmis kinyan yifkod Shem al tzva morom b'morom v'achakach. Right, first it's above and then u'kimedrash Rabbah. Okay, ein zeh hayugzer shiv mitzrayim mitchil hayacholam baruchnias v'achakach nishtalshil v'yordu ad sheyah shiba d'gashmi. Right. Rosie, you understand when you hear like the stories about these great Hasidic rebbes, or that he saw there was Xer min hashamayim. What does it mean, B'chal? That's what he means, because they saw. Above, it wasn't just nevuah seeing the future; it was seeing the current. What do you mean? Because it's like, I give you an example. Let's say someone who's I read a story that a daughter-in-law was with her father-in-law, and she was a paramedic. Yeah. And they were sitting around having a beer, whatever, and nice, the normal things that people do. And somebody said, Dad doesn't look good. Got to get him right to the hospital, right? And she saved his life. He had I forgot what happened to him. Now, what does that mean? But you and I wouldn't see that because we're not paramedics. So you say, when she saw, or you say, look a little bit under the weather. People look under the weather. You don't have to go to the hospital if you feel under the weather. I've had it all the time. Not all the time, chas v'shalom, but people often. It's hard to always feel a little. Who in the summer, who in the winter isn't sniffling a little bit, including me, right? There, just for that was a sniffle. Yeah, more than a sniffle. Yeah. But she saw that. So that means that because that's not ruchniistic, that's physical. Yeah. But I'm saying just like they're seeing a person on this level, then there's seeing who's not well, or a psychologist, or people really care about something because you're stressed out, you're under a hard time. No, you're not. What do you mean? I see you having a hard time. A mother sees in the child something's off about the kid. What? The father's like, well, he's fine. Flip him up and think no. The mother said no. So she's even so on a much higher level, and a different level. There, people see the ruchniistic what's going on. And they see in Shemayim. Someone told me, by the way, someone in this office, a fellow Yechiel Lichtenstein, told me he has a Rebbe somewhere in Gush Dan or somewhere, and I forgot the name, and the person said, before Corona, he said, Dinamer in the air. Wow. Before Corona, he said, Dinamer, I see a Dinamer coming, So Yesh Dvar Mikhaela. So anyway, that's it. So, do it. But I'm just emphasizing, that's different than Nevuah. Nevuah means I see the future. unless that's what Nevuah is. But Nevuah could be, the way we perceive Nevuah means someone seeing the future. Yeah. Here it means you're seeing the present, what's going on upstairs. Yeah. But so it's already happening upstairs, and it's going to be, the decree is up there. You see this, right? The Yadua, the Shorshei Ra, right? The Shorish of Ra, the roots of Ra, Hein Avodah Zarah, Gvila Erais, Shvichas Damim. Wow. Right? Ra is those things. Mela Kodem Shayeshibat HaGashmi, Hayeshibat HaRuchani, Shayimutalas Aleim Shalosh Klipas, Mishalosh Averis. Why? Right? Okay, good. This is well out of my range. I'm just learning this because it's very, very interesting. There were klipas above Klal Yisrael from the Shalosh Averis. Right? V'hayasa aleihem avodah zara lidchod mi v'hayasa aleihem avodah rabba lidchod mi atzim ela klipas shloliyot nimshachim achareim. Okay, so now let's just give one word of understanding. Sheba Mitzrayim was Ayim V'Nara. It was 80 years of catastrophe. 80 years of absolute. Now, whatever was that chamor, for sure in its ruchani state, was terrible before it came down, right? If you can understand. So this is coming now. How he knows it's the shalosh klipas of Avodah Zarah Gilu Shvichas Dam, I have no idea. But that means that there's some spiritual reality of that gookiness. There's a spiritual reality of Avodah Zarah in the world, the spiritual reality of Avodah Zarah of Gilu Rising and Shvichas Dam in the world, and it's all above them. And now that could be chal on Klal Yisrael, right? But you have to fight it off and push it off, so it shouldn't happen. Like just like we would say, like this Hasidic Rebbe sees this Gzera happen, he says, no, I have to do all types of these meisim, and days there we're going to push off the rod, right? Because it's going to happen. I don't want it to come down. Because when Yaakov Avinu ayakayim haisa kedushasa mashpia al kulam, v'lo yakach b'kol klipas lagia behem ki kulam nidchu b'panav. So when Yaakov Avinu Bechir Avos was there, right? When Yaakov Avinu was away, so then Yaakov was pushing all of the shibud away. It means the shibud was ready.
Yeah. He was a shield.
The Shiva was ready, but he's a shield. Oh, very good word. Yaakov is a grand shield from coming down. Vinei al avodah zara he tells b'seichel. Avodah zara, like the Ram says, it tells b'seichel. Right? It's not. It's, people start thinking like this and like this. L'kach kishnifter Yaakov Avinu alav shalom shaya einehem v'liban shel Yisrael. He was the eyes and the heart of Yisrael. Ha'iseh nimshechas aleim ha'kliva shemosh chod avodah zara. Right? So he says that Yaakov had the koch to keep off everything, right? He was pushing everything away, but specifically, Yaakov was the seichel of Klal Yisrael. The einayim, the heart, here he's assuming like heart is like connected to seichel, as many assume in different times. And the eyes is like the perception, einei the eyes of the generation, those who see, eyes that see, right? So Yaakov was that. So when Yaakov is gone, then the koch to stop the klipa of Avodah Zarah is now is coming down, right? But klipas acheres lo hayu nimshachas aleim machav shay Yosef kayim hu haya shomer bris v'higen al Yisrael. But now we have another shield, right? Next shield is Yosef. Yosef is a tremendous shield, right? You're right, exactly. He's pushing everything away. He was shomer bris. Tzaddik Yisod Olam, Tzaddik Atamar Yifrach. Right, eitz yesh eitz im yeshim im ayin. Right, Yosef is the koch to push everything away. Kishemes Yosef nasam aleim masashim Mitzrayim hainu shaysin nimshechas aleim akliba shel gilei arayis. Right, so then, right, so Yosef is holding everything back, but once he's gone, specifically the klipa of gilei arayis is coming down. Very, very interesting. But that klipa shel shvichas dam lo yis and imshechas leim kozman shecha min hashvatim kayim shayu mistagdim l'shvichas damim. This is very interesting, especially in terms of the Yosef story. He says that the shvatim were misnagid l'shvichas damim. This is new. Ki Ruben amar al tishbechu dam. Yehuda amar ma betze kamavur kozman b'ramban ayin sham. So it's interesting. He seems to be saying that even though it's interesting, that's an interesting way of taking the shvatim. Even though this needs more work, even though the Shvatim were involved, were the Yosef. They wanted to, but the fact that leading Shvatim like Reuben and Yehuda held it back, that helped the whole klal. Because we're not saying Kozman Reuben and Yehuda were Kayim. We're saying all of them. Shvatim, so Reuben, it's like in a minion. So you have a certain if a minion we see in a certain way, like a husband and wife. You could say like, we're we're very, very nice. Like, sometimes the wife is really nice and the husband's but we're nice because we're together. You know, we're big earners. Really, the husband's the one making the money, and the woman's the one. But no, so it's interesting. I'm explaining how he's looking at it. I wouldn't have been able to say that.
Also, Yudah didn't kill Tamar. He could have killed him.
Oh, very good. Yafeh, Yudah could have killed Tamar. Very nice, right? V'hayu b'nei Yaakov sheyehepech mishvichas damim v'lo ra tipas keri miyamav, right? Umaral, and they were b'nei Yaakov sheyehepech mishvichas damim v'lo ra teres kipa miyamav. This is very interesting. Every time a person has, every time a person, even let's say a person has a nocturnal emission that's not his fault, but there was potential for life that was lost. So there's a little me'ena b'shvichas damim. So Yaakov, Shelo Kara Karimiyamav. So there was no. It was a Richa Gomor from Shvichas Damim. So his sons that were the Chaim of his era. Personified not killing. It was life by Yaakov. Yaakov was. It's interesting. I never saw that before. But again, it's he's so full of ideas. But by Yaakov lived because there was no waste. Right? A person's like, a person's alive, but he's wasting money. He's wasting zera. He's wasting this, wasting that.
And you're alive. When he got married. You're
alive, but you're killing stuff. So you're like, So, there's someone who's in touch with conserving the ecology and things like that. You say, look, I'm alive. I'm living. You're living. You're killing fish. You're putting your plastic in the thing. Fish are dying. What are you doing? You're killing everybody. Maral. The Shvichas Dam he chem mitzad haguf. Vehem shayu b'nei Yaakov kamo shayahu kadosh v'lo ra gam ken hem hayu kadosh b'gufam vayehepech mishvichas damim. Wow, right? So Shvichas Damim is mitzad haguf. I remember that Maral. I think it's an Abbas. Okay, therefore, it's interesting. So here he's developing more. It's not as obvious, right? That the Shvatim saved life. And they were shaykh to the whole marechet of Yaakov, of kedusha, right? And shaykh to no waste of life, and therefore and shaykh to the body. I would add it was the body of Klal Yisrael. So they're keneged shvichas damim. Shemetu hashvatim nimshachim leim klibim shvichas damim, right? Ach what? Adayin lo hayas hashiba beguf kol zman shechem mishivim nefesh kayim. K'dichsiv yetziv gulas amim lemisper b'nei Yisrael shekol shivim umus makbim l'shivas nefesh kiyadua. V'in ein kein achar she'em mekablim makbil shivim hanefesh im kein yev shiu hashivim nefesh tachas shibud. Wow. So next step is like this. So now, wow, incredible. Let's just talk about the next thing. We'll go through the whole ishtalshalis. It's just really so interesting. It was such a level of thing. Okay, so Yaakov's gone, and now Yosef's gone, and the Shvatim are gone. So what's a shivim? But since the umos, there's a relation between the umos and the shivim nefesh. That's before Shapell. Yatziv gulas amim lemis b'nei Yisrael. How many nations do we have? We know there's 70 nations against the 70 umos. So that means these 70 were representative of the 70 nations are representative of the 70. Like this is like a microcosm of the world. The shivim neshamas, the shivim shamas of Klal Yisrael that went to Mitzrayim were ki'ilu keneged the shivim umos, and therefore the umos can't be mishabed them because it's like a son being mishabed a father. Like you're just an expression of us. We're an expression of you, so you can't be mishabed them. People. That's what's going on, right? Right, exactly. No, the same idea. Shemesa shvatim nimshachim l'knus achadayin lo yeshibad beguf kol zman she'echem mishiv nefesh kayam k'dichsiv yetziv gulas amim lemis b'nei Yisrael. Shekol shivim umas makbilim l'shiv nefesh kinoda. All the 70 nations are parallel to the 70 nefesh. V'imkein achar she'em makbilim b'shivim nefesh imkein iev sheshiu hashivim nefesh tachtam b'shibud b'achar shemetu kol yordim Mitzrayim hayimachil shibud agov. It's incredible. It's a tour de force. Again, this is like way out of my league, way out of something I could ever say. But let's just review. So what's going on? 4 different midrashim: Yaakov, Yosef, Shvatim, Shivim Nefesh. Right. So what do you do with that? And when did the shibud really start? I mean, is that when did it really start? So his whole mahalach is there's no machlokes really, and it's all bechinas. And what we have to do is we have to understand this idea that there was a klipa kasha of shibud, which is potentially up there, right? And we have, like you said, we have shields to keep it from coming down. Yaakov was a massive shield, right? And he kept everything away. But once he's gone, specifically, the Shiva comes that much closer. Specifically, this Bechina of Avodah Zarah. He had a special call of avoiding Avodah Zarah. Now, whatever that klipa is now coming down. Yeah? But Yosef is still pushing that off and the rest off. Yosef specifically was shaykh to Kedusha, and the klipa that's connected to Gilei Rayis is now shaykh. So the Avodah Zarah is in place, the Gilei Rayis is in place to come down, Kalila. You see how bad that gets you scared. Okay, but still the Shvatim are still Keneged Ritzicha. Because the Shvatim, that was maybe the biggest chiddush of what he's saying to me, the Shvatim, Ruvain, Yehuda, two places, like you said, avoided, saved life. There was also part of them that didn't. Yeah, but all of them were part of the Marechet of Yehuda and Ruvain. And all of them were part of the Kedusha of Yaakov, which had no shaykhus to Ritzicha. Because even the smallest Ritzicha of wasted Zerah wasn't shaykh to him. Whatever could come to life, Yaakov brought to life. And the Shiftei Ka, the Bnei Yaakov, Mitatza Shlema had that also. So they're pushing away the klipa of Ritzicha, of Shvichas David. They're gone. Now all that's ready to fit to Klal Yisrael. But now the Shiva Aguf is ready to start, but it still can't, because the Shivim Nefesh still are connected to the Shivim Umas Olam, so it's like a technical hitch kind of at the end. You can't, Lamaisa, at the end of the day, it's like Kol Shurim Nimtzaim, but I still can't give you the bureaucracy, like bureaucracy, you know. Everything's set up and it still can't be. Yeah, so absolute brilliance. Now, what's he going to do? Of course, he's going to connect to the Shabbos. Next, I absolutely didn't see this myself yet, but let's see if we can figure it out. Near Shalosh Asudas b'Shabbos, Mapkias Mishlolish Klipas Eila. Wow! Every Shabbos, this is what we're doing. Sudas Halayla, Isa B'Kisvei Arizal, She Keneged Yitzchak, Umaral She Yitzchak Tikein Chet Shel Avodah Zarah, Ubagdama Tikunei Azara, Dalid Big Day Lovin Kula Rachmi B'Shma Dehavaya. Leisman de Mochabun al Aryan El Iu. Dal Big Day Zav Kula Dina de Citra da Kai Leisman de So I'm going to jump over that part of the Hagdama. I don't know what it's saying, but we're going to start again from Sudas Alayla. Okay. With Sudas Alayla, she tackle Tfuchin besod Kai mechaperes v'vatels aklipim avodah zara. Okay, so gets there. Suda Rishon is connected Yitzchak. Maral says Yitzchak is connected Avodah Zarah, so then every Sudas Alayla we're mevatel the klip Avodah Zarah. Sudas Yoma she connected Avram v'utikin chet gilui arayis. What? Right? I guess that's also in there. L'chein Suda tiket kedisha b'sad avaya v'tiket kedisha who so shlishi nachlas Yaakov she be the klip mishvichas damim shall ra carry miyama v'vatas a klip mishvichas damim she was over there Rabbi the Rabban. Right, so Ketzer, so Yitzchak is connected. Let's just do this quickly, right? It's not Yitzchak is a tikkun for Avodah Zarah. Again, this mamish we'd have to work on. I'm just saying it over. And Avram is the tikkun for Gilei Rayis, and Yaakov is the tikkun for Shvichas Damim. Okay, and therefore it's Rabbi the Rabban. So don't be scared about these three tikkun. What's our avoda? So I learned this not more. The first part I had more of a musar to say here. The musar we got out of the first part was the idea about amuna, working with the rational, the osis, but working with to be more our inner amuna. That was a great message for us. Here, I think it's just an incredible intellectual tour de force. And the more we're mashkiyan to Suda Shabbos, more Suda Shabbos, especially us, miras and good food and family and digging in and make simcha and Yishmak, the more we avoid the klipas noros that should and we Klal Yisrael be safe from all these bad things.